What is going on, friends? Welcome back to another Farlight 84 video. Today I want to talk real quick about the guns in the game. As I have mentioned in previous videos, I really hope we can start seeing new weapons being added in the future for a larger arsenal and anything that can help shake up the current meta. In the meantime, I plan on doing this every season with the hope that indeed we do see new weapons being added to the game. With the latest update, there's been some changes to guns with damage and changes to fire rate. Has any of your favorite guns falling out of grace, or has any risen to the occasion? Also, if you guys haven't seen the latest video from SAC, seems like we're getting melee weapons added to the game after all. Is this a big W for you guys, or is this something you don't want to see in the game? Pretty much every BR out there has melee weapons, so it feels like this is bound to happen at one point or another. Without further ado, let's jump right into the tier list. And to keep it in line, I'm not going to cover the care package guns such as the MG7 or the Rhino. I just want to make sure that we cover what you are actually able to obtain in all three maps. Now, of course, this tier list is based out of my own opinion. There are some things that I do keep in mind when making my decision. TTK versatility, damage, range, and fire rate are considered when making my list. And yes, under the right circumstances, you can get a kill with any weapon in the game. However, that doesn't mean weapons can't compete with one another, as there are options that are simply just better. All right, and we're gonna go through this really quickly. The first one is the AK-77. You guys know that it doesn't matter what they do to this gun. This thing is still so powerful. It hits so hard. It packs a wall up. The mag size is always good on it. And yeah, they recently nerfed it, but it doesn't matter. Damage, king in the game, honestly. Like, it just hits so hard. It hits like a truck. Where it really shines, it's in up close battles and mid range. At long range, of course, the recoil can kind of take over, but this gun is very, very strong. I actually recommend it as a nice secondary if you're gonna run a sniper, or if you're going to run a VSS with this one. Moving on to the second one is the generator. The generator is a good option. I want to say probably early on in the game, because while it does have a nice fire rate to it and it is a beamer, this thing is a laser. It just really lags on the damage side of things. So, you know, options like the Porcupine, like the AK or the M4, I feel like are better options when it comes to the assault rifle category. This one is very viable up close and at mid range, but again, the damage just isn't there, so it really dies out at long range distance. On to the next one, we have Jupiter. Jupiter, very similar to the generator. Not a bad option early on, especially if you're having trouble with finding some good loot. Jupiter can take you, get you out of some mines. It doesn't have a lot of recoil mid-range. It can be a good weapon to use. Same thing at short range. Where it really lacks a punch is at the distance, at long range fights. So it's a viable option, but at one point or another, you're gonna be trading up from a Jupiter. Now, the Invader isn't necessarily a bad option. It does have a nice high damage output. The fire rate's a little bit on the lower end, which is why it can be a little bit of a struggle to use up close. The versatility just necessarily isn't there. It's not bad at mid-range or long-range battles. It's just that other guns outperform it, but not bad to pick up in a pinch, and if you need to really manage mid-range to long-range fights, you can hold on to this one for a little bit. Okay, and the M4 is a really good viable option. A lot of people love running an M4, so I'm gonna put that one on A tier because I feel like it's a tier above the generator and the Jupiter. It does have more damage, pretty similar fire rate, and recoil is more than manageable, so it makes for a nice secondary. I would say it's ideal mainly in mid-range to short-range fights as far as AR goes. All right, and Mad Rat. I don't know who in the developer team hates this gun or who pissed off who, but the Mad Rat is just not a good gun. They nerfed the fire rate even further too, so it just doesn't make any sense. Jet Slide is not in the game. I mean, just hitting your shots with this gun is gonna be damn near impossible whenever you have characters moving left and right and jet sliding. And in most cases will just get you killed. So you're better off either fighting someone with your fist or hiding under a rock until you can find something better. The Porcupine, another gun that honestly the fire rate initially wasn't anything exciting, but it's kind of gone up. The fire rate's higher. It's very similar to the M4 now, so manageable recoil, more damage than the Jupiter and the generator, so we're gonna put that one up there as a viable option in A that you can pair up with either a sniper. Honestly, mid-range to short range it does perform really well too, so depending on the character that you're using, you might really love using a Porcupine for the time being. VSS. I don't need to say much about this gun. We're just gonna slide it right here without even questioning it. My favorite gun in the game. This thing is a melt machine at range. It's not even a bad option short range. I just, you hit fire with it and it's so fast. The fire rate is extremely fast. The damage on this gun is extremely fast. And the mag size, which was my biggest gripe with it when I first started playing this game, is at 20 now. So it's a big W for the gun, but it's also kind of like made it a class of its own. I wish I could put it like beyond S tier. That's how highly I think of the VSS. It's just extremely viable long range. It's extremely viable at mid range, and even at short range, you can definitely win some fights with this one. I feel naked if I don't have a VSS in my hands. All right, and we're gonna talk about shotguns now, which, as you guys know, the biggest gripe with a shotgun is the range, but they do pack some damage. Ancient Start isn't here. If I were to have it here, I would put it probably under the B category because it's that strong. The problem with it, though, being that it only has 2 bullets, so you have to reload that bad boy. And in between fights, if you have multiple enemies, you're probably going down. But really strong shotgun, probably my favorite shotgun out of the 3 offering. All right, the Fanatic. We're gonna put the Fanatic really quickly under C. It's not great, but it's viable early game, especially in up close fights, just because it does have a high damage. But again, the thing about shotguns is you're limited to the range, right? And you have to be very close to the enemy, which in most cases just doesn't happen, especially like mid game to long range. You tend to run into other teams. You're gonna want something with a little bit more versatility in your arsenal. So you want something with long range and something that can help you in the mid-range battles. Either way, not a bad option to have early on, the Fanatic, especially if you are up close against an enemy. Really high damage, and it's semi-automatic shotgun. The Hound shotgun, we're gonna put it right next to its sister shotgun, and the same thing, high damage, but it just lacks with range. You're gonna end up wanting to switch at one point in the game and not necessarily keeping the shotgun. I mean, if you are, kudos to you, but I'd rather have a submachine gun in my hands. I'd rather have an AR. I'd rather have pretty much anything other than a shotgun in the game. So yeah, we're gonna put it under C. We're not gonna talk about it too much. We're moving on to the submachine category. And the first one is the Mad Rabbit. Mad Rabbit, actually, I fell in love with in Update 2.0. However, they just reduced the back size. And I know that they added the mag attachment to it, which makes it a little bit better, but we're doing all the guns as stock, so I want to put it in C tier. I feel like this is a viable weapon, of course. No recoil, and it's a laser, but it just doesn't pack a punch, and it doesn't have the same fire rate as other submachine guns. All right, the MF-18, another one that for whatever reason they hate. This is quick. We're just putting it in D tier. The fire rate sucks on it. It's a submachine gun. You don't want to lose your burst up close and personal in a fight. And with Jet Slide, it's another weapon that just became even harder to land your shots with. So I don't recommend it. I run past this unless you absolutely have to pick it up, but there's definitely way better options in the game. Here comes the fun, and where it starts getting tricky. The UMP, man, this gun is just another amazing viable option. I'm actually gonna put it in A tier. I think that you can run the entire game with a UMP, especially if you're gonna be getting into a lot of up close battles, because it just has no recoil. It's really easy and manageable to control, good mag size to it, and honestly a very good viable option. I tend to pick up a UMP and I don't mind it. Sometimes I'll forget, to swap it out for an AK or anything else, because it's that good, chat. The UMP 99, it's a really good option in the game. The Uzi is actually not a bad option nowadays. I think they did a good job by raising the mag size from 21 to 30. And, it's not the easiest submachine gun to land your shots with. The fire rate is extremely fast, but if you land those shots, man, oh man, are you melting your opponent. So not a bad viable option. And like I said, with the 30 mag round, it makes a big difference on this gun. And we're gonna put it on B tier. Now, the White Dwarf, if you know, you know. If not, I'm putting you onto it. I'm putting this one in S tier. This is just a ridiculous submachine gun. And I don't know if it's going to get nerfed at one point or another, but it's one of the fastest TTKs in the game right now. Very easy to handle, nice mag size to it too as well. I love the White Dwarf. It's one of those guns that if I see it early in the game, I am not switching it, and I'm actually looking for it if I am struggling with the choice selection of my loadout. So if you guys haven't tried out the White Dwarf, highly recommend it. Pair it with a BSS, pair it with an AK, pair it with a sniper rifle. It's a really good option in the game. All right, and we're moving on to the sniper category. I'm just gonna put this where they belong, and you guys probably already know where they're headed. But there's definitely, you know, a lack of snipers right now in the game. There's only 3 options. The Bar 95, if you're a sniper, is your go-to. If it's not, then, you know, the Defender is a viable option because it's a semi-automatic. But honestly, even with the bullet drop-off over range with the Bar, it just hits next level. You put an 8 times on it too, you're just gonna be able to see the entire map with the Bar 95. So the Defender is good. If you can control your shots, mouse and keyboard players probably salivate when they see a Defender in the map, because if you hit your shots with this one, you're just melting people from range. So, and then the Stellar Wind just doesn't have the damage. It's a nice option early on if you don't have anything at range, but yeah, it just takes too many shots to get somebody down with it. So pretty nice and simple. This is the sniper classes. All right, guys, and that's my tier list with the current weapons in the game, showcasing some of what I think are the better guns in the game. More than anything, I would love to see a bigger arsenal in the game. I think that there's still an opportunity to shake up the meta a little bit. You know, I love the VSS, I love a White Dwarf, I love an AK, but it would be really nice to start trying out new guns. So let me know what you guys would love to see in the game, what kind of weapons. Hopefully we get some new options being introduced on the next season. Thank you guys again for checking out the channel and supporting the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will drop another tier list if we get an updated selection of weapons. See you guys on the next one. Peace out.